Good morning, Mets fans, and welcome to a rainy Monday edition of Driving with Mr. Met. I am Mr. Met. It's been a whole week since I've recorded any videos. I meant to record at least 2 different times last week, but obviously I didn't, and I'm here today to sort of catch up on the week's worth of news and a couple of noteworthy items to talk about. One rumor that I think Mets blog is really overhyping, but I want to discuss that today and go over the couple of the roster moves that the team made last week. Last week sort of marked the beginning of the Brodie Van Wagenen era, and it got off to a bang. Mets made a couple of personnel moves last week. They reinstated from the 60-man disabled lists Yoenis Cespedes and Travis d'Arnaud, and said goodbye to Rafael Montero, who they waived and who elected free agency. So adios, Montero, the man that had more lives than any cat that I think anyone has ever known. Montero will not pitch next year. He is recovering from Tommy John surgery. At least I don't believe he will pitch, but wherever it ends up happening, it will be in a different city on a different team. So we have to wish him luck. He was one of those cautionary tales, you know, the big name prospect. If we all remember, he was more highly touted than Jacob deGrom, but one of those big name prospects that just never panned out. Other noteworthy items, I think P.J. Conlon was optioned to AAA Syracuse. Montero, obviously the big news. Jack Reinheimer got claimed by someone, so he won't be on the Mets next year. And someone else too, I can't remember who it was. No other big name. I mean, the real big name was Montero. Travis d'Arnaud was reinstated to the roster. Doesn't mean, however, that he will be tendered a contract. I think the Mets will opt out of his agreement and let him either come to the table and ask for less money, or let him elect free agency and let him test the waters and see if the Mets can bring him back for a lot less than the nearly $4 million he'd make next year in arbitration. So d'Arnaud was the big name in all of that. Brodie Van Wagenen made some news last week, as we all know. His press conference was Monday. He was energetic, enthusiastic. I'm kind of liking that this has unfolded the way that I thought it might, and the way that the analysts and the reporters have reported on it. It's been a real heavy focus on the relationships that he has with these other teams, and you know, the notion of the conflict of interest, I think they did a good job clearing that up, and Jeff Wilpon did a good job of talking about what happens in those scenarios, that there's a contingency in the contract for him to not be, for Brodie to not be involved in those sorts of dealings. So I think that's a good situation. But I think the big thing for me is the relationships that Van Wagenen has developed with other teams, and perhaps even more importantly, other players. He knows what the big free agents are after. He knows what they want. He knows what the decision points are for all of them. And you know, it's worth mentioning that for all the talks of hiring an analytics guy, Van Wagenen probably has as much analytics experience as anybody else. He had to do the same number crunching as an agent as you have to do as a general manager as far as evaluating talent goes. And that also applies to the scouting. In fact, again, I heard this last week, he may be more equipped than anyone else to handle the scouting, because it was up to him to find the best players for his agency. I mean, not him personally. Of course, he had a team working on all these things, but he'll have the same sort of environment as the leader of the Mets front office. And I just think he's got that background that really plays in nicely, and it gives him an advantage over the other candidates that we're interviewing for this job. So I remain optimistic about the Brodie Van Wagenen hire, and here's an opportunity for him to sort of put his stamp on the franchise. I love the fact that in his interview with Mike Francesa, he fought back. You know, he fired back at Francesa and his ludicrous questions and facial expressions and mannerisms and everything else that Francesa does. But Brody fought back. He's like, look, we have a good team. Who's better than us? You know, and I love that he took that stance. It's like, don't talk down to us. We are not the redheaded stepchild. We are as good as any team in the division. And look, last year proved it. The Mets had the best record in the National League East in the second half of the season. That's it. That's the proof is in the pudding. It's right there. The real question is the 2019 Mets team going to look really different than the 2018 team? And this is where I want to get into a little bit of a rumor that I think Mets blog is really pushing. And it's Manny Machado. And of course, there was the conspiracy theory about Brody wants him because he liked a post on Facebook or Twitter. Sorry, he liked a tweet. So that apparently is news. Van Wagenen liked a tweet about this should be what the Mets do next year: shift Frazier to first base, let him play there with Alonso, and get Machado to play third. You know, and Brody Van Wagenen liked the tweet. And from there, you know, Mets blog really, for me, blew it out of proportion. But that's what reporters have to do. I get it. I'm still not in favor of hiring a guy for that kind of money who has made it abundantly clear that he's not going to hustle. I'm a Daniel Murphy guy. All right, I'm a fan of the guy that puts his head through a wall for the team. The Wally Backman, the Lenny Dykstra, the dirty player, the hustler, the gritty player. That's the kind of ball player that I like. I don't like this boutique diva player who, mind you, has all the talent in the world. Not taking any of that away from him, but I don't like that attitude, that mantra of I'm better than everybody else, and therefore I don't have to do as much as everybody else does. I can lay back a little bit. I can take that extra half step off when I'm running. It just rubs me the wrong way. Not for the kind of money that he's going to be looking for. Not for nothing, the Manny Machado debate is going to rage on. The winter meetings start very soon. We'll see Jacob deGrom crowned the National League Cy Young winner very soon. But throughout the winter meetings, we're going to hear a lot about the Mets being linked to Machado. I personally don't think they're going to get him, but we're going to hear a lot about that. Something else that was interesting, and you guys should check this out. Bleacher Report released, I think it was Bleacher Report, released a top 100, I think it was. Here's where we think the top 100 free agents are going to go and the contracts are going to get. It was interesting. The Mets ended up with David Robertson as the big acquisition. I don't know that any of that's true. I mean, it's complete speculation. It's probably as credible as me talking right now. But I wouldn't mind David Robertson. I think he's a great pitcher. He's a lefty, and he's pitched in New York. He's good and fine. But I want more, and I'm hoping that's what we see out of this winter meeting. We have an outside-the-box hire as the general manager running the show. Now let's see the general manager running the show do some outside-the-box stuff to get the Mets the pieces they need to compete in 2019 and take this franchise to the point where we thought they were in 2015 as that season came to an end. I'm confident in Brody Van Wagenen, but then again, glass half full for me all the time. That's going to wrap it up today with the glass half full. I thank you for watching. I should be back again this week. I hope to be back again this week. Again, I'll be kind of keeping an eye on what's going on, and if there's anything that's worth talking about, I'll try to jump on and get another video recorded. But until that time, again, thanks for watching. Follow me on Twitter at Mr_Met. And as always, let's go Mets.